Hi everyone, this is Laura from Grain & Company, and today I'm here with December's Creative Maker box. So in your box you'll have your snowman, your two bases, your tag, your scarf, the accessory parts to the snowman, and two little circles, which we'll use later for assembly. So I'm going to get started with the staining. So I'm just going to set these off to the side, and I'm going to grab my bases. So grab your whole wheat stain in your kit, just a little bit, and your foam brush and some gloves. Give that a squish in there, and then give this a wipe. You really don't need to do both sides of it because you're going to stack one, but I just grabbed it and I realized the one that I did has a little bit of a defect, so it will be my bottom one. But so we'll just do that one here, and then I'll just do the top on this one. All right, and then you can just set that off to the side and let those dry. All right, and next I'm going to start my snowman. Now with this one we really want to be careful because we are wanting to keep these score marks clear. We didn't send any black in your kit because it really needs either just a drop. So you can either, if any black paint that you have, you can just color in those eyes, or you can take like a black paint pen or something just to fill in that detail there. So, so I'm kind of going to do this part in two steps, because if I brush it on, I'm sure going to get some paint in there. So I'm going to probably do this part here more with a baby wipe, and then I can paint the rest here with the brush. This area might just take a little bit more, but remember the scarf is going to cover this part, so it's not gonna, if it doesn't blend so well, that's not a big deal. And you don't have to paint the top because the part will be covered by the hat. So I'm going to start with my white paint. There we go. And I will do the baby wipe stuff first. I'm not sure how bright this is on the camera, guys. I'm doing this at the store because I can't get it done at home. So we will do it here, and I didn't bring my lights, so I'm assuming it's okay, but I won't know till I start editing. So so I put some on there, and then I just started wiping. I'm just going to start a wipe above here so I can just kind of make sure it's blending properly on my baby wipe before I go any further. So you really don't want a whole lot in there. Now if you got it on the eyes, that's not a problem, but it's really the score marks on the mouth. Now at first it's going to look pretty washed out because your baby wipe is, you know, wet from being a baby wipe, but let that dry, and as we keep doing more coats it will start to build itself up. So just dip, blot most of that off, and then just gently wipe over top. You don't want to put any pressure, you're just gently touching that surface and not squishing anything. Now if you feel like you do get some in there, a toothpick, a safety pin or a needle or something, X-Acto knife can help you clean out that area there. Now if you want to wipe the whole thing with a baby wipe, you certainly can. This will just take a little, this will just be a little faster. So I'm just dip my brush and I'm starting to paint. Now I'll be a bit more messier, but I'll take my baby wipe and wipe my edges if I need to. Now if you want, you can always have your baby wipe close here and kind of gently blend that if you get too high up. But I like to put the paint in the middle and then bring it to one side and the other. because that way I can kind of control what's going over the edges. If you start with a full brush at the sides, then you're more likely to get more on the sides there. So, and if you just do it and then complete your stroke after you've laid the paint on, then you are more likely to have less brush strokes on your piece. And because white shows everything, you definitely want to follow through after so that it's nice and even. All right, so you can see even though I was being kind of messy in here, I don't really have any paint on the sides. I might have just a little speckle here and there. So I'm just going to let that dry, and I can go on to the next color. Actually, I probably would just leave it because I'm at the store and I get a customer. It's hard to get all the colors done at once. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave this off to the side for a second, but I will break this apart. So I think my snowflakes are white, which is right in front of me. So I'm gonna paint those at the same time. So I can do that since we are working on white. So I'm just gonna pop everything else over to here. Now you can use your template for painting, which I do like most of the time. And if you want, you can take all your pieces out and then put the ones back in that you are painting. If you leave them all in, then you got so many colors being, that with different pieces being different colors, it's easier to just take them out and organize them. And this one is that color, that's a different one, and the whites. So we'll just do there. Okay, so the snowflakes, you can either, like if you don't have an area in which you can tape them to the table easily, because otherwise they're just going to be bouncing and your fingers can get dirty if you hold them. If you stick them back in and tape it, then you actually have something you can hold while you're painting. So I'm just going to try and reuse this tape, flip it around. Now they're in there, they're not going to go anywhere. And now I can grab my makeup sponge. I'm just going to grab a little one here that's been used up because I don't need a whole lot. So dip it in your paint, blot most of it off, and then come in here and do this. Now if you guys want to add some sparkle to your snowflakes, you can easily do that with some, some glue. Take a makeup sponge and some white glue and kind of do the same thing I'm doing here. When you need to do that, do a coat of glue over top and then take some glitter. That would be another way to embellish your snowman. We cut the original snowman when it was created by the designer. They use a ribbon. Well, it's hard to satisfy everyone depending if you guys decide to change the color of your snowman, because some of you guys may be more traditional and want the blacks and the reds and whatever. So the easiest thing was for me to do was to cut you a scarf. If you choose not to use the scarf and find a piece of ribbon, you can easily tie that around his neck instead and not paint that scarf at all. So that's another option for you guys as well. So all right, it's drying fairly quickly in here, so I need to sand this. Grab my sandpaper here and give that a sand. So you can see here, this is the wipe, this is the brush, and you can see just how much lighter the wash will take to build up the color. But it's the part that's going to have the most success in trying to avoid those marks. Now you can also do it with a sponge, but I like it with the baby wipes. So you can see even after that second coat that it's even a bit more solid there. So I'm just going to keep doing this until I get the colors that I like, and then I will come back. So I'll just speed it up really fast so you don't have to sit here and watch me do each coat in real time again. So Just remember when you paint it on, if you have to come back and blend by the face, and then just wipe the sides if you get any extra paint on there. All right, we'll see you soon, guys. Okay, I'm back. So one thing I didn't mention is make sure you don't get too much paint in the area where the snowman is going to fit in the slot. There is a little extra room in there, but when it comes to assembly time, if you find that you've gone a little crazy on the paint in that area, you can just sand on the back. So, but if you can avoid a little less there, that'll be better. So we're just going to set that there again. Grab these. Your snowflakes probably just take a couple coats, especially if you're going to do some glitter or something on there, then 2 is probably more than enough. Maybe even 1 depending on what you're doing. Yeah, see, even 2, just like that. So those ones are done. Brush I'm still going to keep out here for a second. So yeah, we can start on, let's start on the bird. So, so the bird you can we're going to be doing 2 different colors, the beak, which is the same color as the nose, and then the blue here. So you can paint this with a, makeup sponge and try and get as really close. If you get anything in here, you can probably cover it up with the blue or just sand it away. Okay, so let me grab my other color. I could go grab a little tray, but I'm just going to pour it on here. So I'm just going to grab, see, I'm just pretty laid back when it comes to this part. Okay, so get some on your makeup sponge and make sure it doesn't have a huge amount left over. Blot that all off and then come in here and apply your coat. So be careful when you hit that eye area. I didn't paint mine any color, it's engraved, so if you avoid any paint in there, then you shouldn't have to do anything to it. If you happen to get some paint in there, then you will probably have to do a little dab of black or something just so that you can see that eye. All right, so I'm just tipping my sponge and kind of using the edge to get as close as I can to the beak. And you can see I avoided the eye, so don't squish too hard when you're going around there. I'm going to do the same thing with the little one. Just very gently come in there. There we go. So there's that one. Now with this one, these are scored. Now you can do the same thing. You can do it with the baby wipe, and you can try it with a makeup sponge. So I'm going to show you with the sponge. I prefer the wipe, but we'll just gently go over this. You really just have to you're barely pressing on it, just so it just makes contact. So you really don't want anything extra. So you can find out which way you prefer, but really make sure there's hardly anything on there. And then just tap very carefully. And once again, if you get something in there, you can take a needle or a pin, but please do it right away, because once it starts to dry, it makes it a little bit more difficult to get out. So now my first coat is not by any means, it's very blotchy actually, but pretty much for me, I just want to get that wood fibers a little wet so I can sand them, and then it will make it easier for the paint to grab on there. So I'm just going to leave that for a moment and get back to my snowman here. Now I'll probably do one more coat on my body but probably at least a couple more coats on my face. Okay, so just check those sides again. All right, good enough. So I'll come back to that again in a minute. And I'm just gonna go grab a bag for this, guys. Okay, so my blue ones, oh yeah, see, my snowflakes are fine. If yours need another coat, then go ahead and do so. I'm gonna pop mine out of here so I know that they can come out. So I haven't used that much paint that they're stuck in there. So make sure when you're painting these, you're not squishing too much so it gets down the edges. Between coats, you can give them a little wiggle in there to make sure they're not getting stuck if you use your template. All right, so I'm gonna come back in here and give these a sand. Okay, so once again, just repeat this part and I will speed it up and then I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. So I decided that to do it with the baby wipes. You can see how much faster that was between first and second coat, but for me, I just like it. I have a lot better control. So you find out what works for you, like I said, and you use that when doing that. And I got a little bit of paint on here on the beak, so I just lightened it a little bit with the baby wipe, and then when I go to paint the orange, it'll just cover it right up. So not worried there. So my snowman is getting there. So I'm gonna good on the body. So I'm gonna do another coat on the face for sure. So let's grab some more. Okay. Now, based on what I've seen, I'll probably have to do one more again, but that's fine. So yeah, okay, so I'm gonna let that dry. All right, that one's garbage, that's garbage. So these are done. 2 coats for me are good on those. Okay, orange, no, not yet. Let's do the hat. So this is done in Fieldstone, so that's the gray color. And we're also gonna need the buttons for those as well. So that's what you're gonna need there. Now, I don't really want these jumping up and down when I do them, so I'm gonna stick them back in here because they're little, and if I try and hold them, then you know I'll end up with more paint on my fingers than anything. So I'm gonna stick that one back in there. These ones are fine, but like I said, you can do what's best for you. So you don't need this one anymore, so I'm just gonna trim it off. So grab your scissors and snip that down. That way you can just keep using it till it's little. Actually, I'm gonna use my bigger one because this is a bigger surface area. So I'm just gonna snip this one, since I don't need the big one anymore. And I'm gonna go grab the other color, so I'll be right back. Okay. So you can use a brush, you know, for the bigger one if you like, but I like to use the sponge. So I didn't blot off quite so much because I can stir it in the middle and put most of my paint there and then even it out. Okay, so I'm not wiping the edges on there because if I'm pretty even all the way around, I'll just get this nice dusting of color, which does not bug me at all. So I'm just going to leave that. If you start getting really big gobs of paint on the side, then yes, I would wipe that away. But if you can keep it nice and thin and even, then that's fine. All right, so I come and do the buttons. So just a very gentle application on here because you don't want to fill in those score lines for the button, that inner circle, but you can see. So what happens when you use the tape from the back, or when you're taping off the front, it will usually lose its tack. So that's what I did, but so that's why it's jumping out of there. Normally it wouldn't. All right, so give those a second to dry. And I'm going to come back here and do probably the last coat on my white face here. Whoops. Which side that's going on? Okay. Okay, so we'll let that dry, see where it sits at. And in the meantime, I can come back. This is already dry, so that's how thin my layer of paint was. It's so dry that it doesn't take long. All right, so this one, do one more coat, should be enough. So same thing on repeat, and I'll just speed it up. Let's see, okay, so that's there. So I'm just gonna let that dry, and then I will be back, and maybe I don't have to be. Okay, so we'll let those dry, and then we're gonna work on this. So if you're trying to think of whether or not your snowman is dark enough in the face, if I put this here, you really don't notice too much difference because they're not directly side by side. So that's another way. Remember, if you're tying even a piece of ribbon around there as a scarf, it's really gonna be starting to be hard to tell. So I'm just gonna let this dry a few more minutes. I might do one more coat, but right now it's pretty close to where I want it. All right, so these two are done in the putty. So I need to grab that color. So give me a second, guys. Okay, so I'll just do a little tiny bit. And I'm just gonna use my smaller sponge. I hope you guys are at a good angle. This is really not the setup I normally use. Okay, so just start here and same thing. Now, if you choose to do a ribbon, you don't have to do this part. Maybe I'll find some pictures from the designer so you can see what it looks like with the ribbon, and then you can choose whether or not you like to do that, and I'll just post them in the group page. Okay, so just let that one dry and then do the next piece. Okay, so same thing. So just be careful if your edges are fairly even. That one's not looking so good. I'm just gonna give this one a little wipe here. There we go. And some colors, you know, obviously look a bit, you know, off on the sides than others. This is darker, so it doesn't quite, this one's a little lighter, so sometimes it will show a little bit more, but okay. So my face is, I don't know if you guys can see the difference, but it's just so ever so slightly lighter, but I'm just waiting for this to dry, so why not? We'll just do another coat. Clean up my little container here. Okay, so I'm just gonna wipe that on. Okay, so that'll probably be pretty good there. So leave that. Gray one is dry, so I'm now just gonna sand it. So that'll be good to go. That one's done, and then we'll pop these buttons out. You could even put glitter on your buttons too if you want to. I'm just not a glittery person, so maybe a glittery person, but not on my decor. So that's totally up to you. So now let's sand this one. Oops. Okay. Oops, wrong color. So that's 2 coats. I'm just going to check my edges here again. That side's fine. Yeah, this part. Okay, so that part is good. That's the hat. That's okay. All right, so everything is painted except for the orange. I'm going to do that tomorrow because I still have to mix up that color. Normally it's not a fusion color, so if I ship it to you, it will be ruined. So I got to create that color so I can send it to you and it won't freeze. So I'll do that tomorrow, and then I will come back and I will finish painting this with you guys, and we'll get it put together. You'll need a hot glue gun for the greenery. If you have a really high temp one, that's usually the best. In the meantime, you can always give these a sand, and then you can glue your 2 layers together. But yeah, I will be back tomorrow and we will finish the rest. Okay guys, see you soon. Okay guys, I'm actually going to finish this orange today. I'm just going to use the one that I normally use, but I'm just going to mix up the same color in a fusion one so that you guys will get it. So we're using a color called, well, it's called Cider. It's a custom orange of a different brand, just because I love different colors. So just going to go in here, do the carrot. And then with the beaks, okay, so you can use your really, in your 6-piece brush set, you can use your small tipped one. You can use a brush. You can even cut up a sponge really, really small and do that. So I'm just going to use my brush. You don't want to completely paint that line because you want that separation. Just very gently. If you feel like you need to tape it, if you're someone who feels like they're not going to get that, then you can, tape it. It's just harder to tape because it's round or curved, I guess, but you'll probably find that the pointed one is the better of them. So probably 2 coats, but I'll check on it and see how even it is once mine dry. So you'll do this one as well. Do it twice once it dries, and then I will come back tomorrow. Oh no, actually I wanted to show you one more thing. So I'm just gonna let that sit there for a second. It doesn't dry out. I wanted to show you what to do with the eyes now that mine is dry. So sometimes using like the back end of a paintbrush to get in there and do that, because you can usually do a nice little round blob with that. So this one's a little bit too thick, so I'm just gonna go find a smaller one. Okay, so I don't know, this one might be, no, that's too big. This one might be better. So I'll show you what I'm doing, because sometimes when you hand paint it, it kind of doesn't look roundish. It kind of, at least for me. Okay, hold on guys, I gotta get it. Whoops. All right, so I'm just gonna put a little on there. Now, you take the back of your paintbrush and then just, I'll do it off to the side, hopefully you can see that, and then just go like that, then you'll get this dot that's nice and circle. So just go in the center of your eye and kind of press. I'll probably have to come in here twice and do it, but just using the back of that. So where's my toothpick? So now that I've got enough paint on there, I'm just going to use my, man, I'm blind when it comes to stuff like this. All right, so I'm just kind of pushing that blob of paint to the edges. But you can do whatever works for you. I can't see, but you can always come back again when it's dry and do another one, but just gently pushing it. I just don't want to put too much that you go outside those lines. So there, that's what it's going to work for me. So I will probably come back tomorrow and maybe do, or a little bit later, but for the most part it's pretty much right to the edge. So I'm happy with that. All right, so let's get rid of that. So now this one, I'm going to come back in here. Do that again. Okay, so my carrot's done. Yeah, my carrot's done. So I'm just going to come in here, do a little sand, and just based on what I'm seeing, I just need a little bit more on these. So okay. There's that one. Now, if you don't want them to wear away after, then don't sand them, just leave it so you can get a nice solid orange. But yeah, that's good. So those are done. Yeah, so everything is painted. So I will come back the next time. For you guys, it'll continue on. And I will put it together with you, and we'll get the greenery on and such. Okay? Thanks, guys. See you in a bit. Hi guys, I'm back with the assembly part of the Snowman. So I've got all my pieces painted, and I'm just going to give this one a quick sand because I never did that when I left off. Okay, so what I did is I glued these two pieces together. So if you haven't done that, just take some wood glue or some super glue and put it in between and squish them. Make sure they line up fairly nicely so that when you put your snowman in there, it will fit just like that. It's fitting. I just trying to center it. There we go. So just like that. All right, so next, so in your box you will have your greenery. Now I've done mine already, but you'll have to do yours. Is that you'll find that it wants to shed because of the little sparkly snow that is on there. So if you take some hairspray and spray it a few times, then that will help keep those little flecks of snow on there. So I'm just gonna leave that in there for now. That's just a little tip because we'll do that in a little bit. So now it's really just assembly time. So you're just gonna layer your pieces. You guys, I'm up there enough, there we go. So you're just gonna layer your pieces. All right, so hat. Just let it sit on top, make sure it's all lined up. And then when it is, then give it a push in place. Okay. Now the hat's pretty self-explanatory there. This piece curves down, so you can just set that on there. And the next we had the bird. Let me go grab my sample. Okay, so I set the bird in here. I took the line of the tip of the tail feathers, and that's where I lined it up, but it really doesn't make a difference whatsoever. And then the snowflake I put up at the top, and remember you can add some glitter to them if you want, some flocking, anything that you want to embellish your snowman. I have like no nails, so this just takes me a moment. Okay, there we go. So you can just set that up there. All right, the nose I've set here, and you can position it in place. Now too, with this, the sample the lady did, like if you really want to like give your snowman some little rosy cheeks, you could do, you know, a little bit of pink or red or whatever, and very lightly do a very light dry brush on the cheeks. We didn't send that because it really, there's no point, and the pink I would use, it would just freeze up anyway. So that you can leave to your discretion. It does look very cute, but we didn't need a whole lot, so you can definitely, any pink or red or anything you want to do there, you can probably have some kind of color like that in your stash. So just lay that on there, kind of figure where you want that. Oops, I'm gonna probably put that up just a little higher. There, okay, and squish that in place. Okay, so remember, for the scarf, oops, I didn't sand that. You can choose to use our cutout, or you can always tie a piece of ribbon, find some string, and hang your tag off of there. I didn't do that, so we're going to put the scarf on this way and add our tag accent at the bottom. You can still hang it up here if you wanted to. I just found it to be a bit chunkier than I like, so that's why I decided to put it down at the bottom. Just make sure they're lined up there and then squish that into place. Okay, so the buttons I don't put on until I get the bird in place, because if you get the buttons in the wrong spot, it can hinder your bird. So this is really where now you have to start standing this up to get it in place. Now mine's fairly snug, which is good. If yours seems a little loose, you can add a little glue in there, but you shouldn't have to. Now with the bird, I set mine so it kind of curved with the snowman over here, and then I added my snowflake over top. Then we can add the buttons. So I'm going to put my bird in place first. Now in the meantime, while this is being put together, I've got my glue gun going. I've got a high temp gun going. The regular one should work as well, so, but I wouldn't use some wood glue. So I'm just gonna set this in here and there. Okay, so now you can set your buttons. Just eyeball them. Now the two little circles in your kit, they're going to be used as spacers at the bottom when we attach our tags. So yeah, it's good there. So that's the only purpose they have. We can put our snowflake down here. Okay, and then just kind of place that where you want. Okay, so I'm gonna do my greenery first. So I'm just gonna set this off to the side so he doesn't get dirty with this. So really you're gonna start taking this apart. Now it's all wrapped in in wire. So you can use all these pieces as you wish. I only choose to use some of the greenery sprigs and some of the berries. So as you can see, as you start unwrapping these, they'll have little wires around them. So feel free to use them. You might have to cut it a little shorter, especially on like the pine cone. So as you start pulling apart, they'll come away. So I just used 2, and then I ended up using the berries. So I ended up untwisting this and getting rid of that, and then I just cut these little tiny pieces off so I have something to glue into the greenery. So I'm going to grab my wire cutters. I'll be right back. So your scissors should work too, but let's see. Yeah, see, scissors work just as fine. Okay, so I'm gonna come in here. So all I did was take, hopefully you guys can see that, okay. So I took 2, I just kind of played with the layout before I glued everything in place. So I just did some overlapping down here. Those sprigs to go the way you want. And once you glue them in, they'll stay in place. And then I would have added my white berries and so forth. So I'm gonna get my greenery going now. So that, to me, that should be good. I might push them in just a little bit more. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, so we're gonna do one first. So just a little glue. set it in place. Now mine's the high temp, so it takes just a little bit longer to set, but I'm just gonna not use my fingers. And then just make sure your sprigs are going the way you want them. So mine's turning a little bit, so I'm just gonna, there we go. Shape it the way you want. Gonna go like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna set this one in. So don't worry about all that glue there. You'll end up hiding it with your berries anyways. Okay, so I'm just gonna give that a moment to set. And I'll be right back. Okay guys, mine is, yeah, it's dry. Okay, so take as many berries as you want. I don't think I could pull this off, no. Cut them off. Try and get them as close as you can to that stem. Whoops, and that way you've got something to attach them to. Now the pine cone, let's just break that off. So leave a little bit so you have something to kind of push it in. That might still be too long, yeah. There we go. So now, yeah, there it pokes in and you have a lot better control. Oh, my glue gun died. I should have enough. Okay, so I just put it on the stem and then shove it in there. There we go. Yeah, no, that looks good. Okay, nope, lost my piece. And then just go ahead. Sometimes you might have to stand it up so you get a better view as to what you like. Go there, there, and probably there. Now you can do more if you want. You'll just find that if you can do your elements and odds, it will be a nicer balance. So if you do 5, then maybe, you know, add 1 at either end or something. If you want to use more than just the 3. There. Those dry. Okay, all the glue threads, sometimes using a blow dryer after will help you shrivel those up. Just do it on low heat. Okay, next, string. So I gotta go get some twine. You can use this, but we did send you guys some twine, so give me a sec. I didn't put this. So just thread it through, tie yourself. Not up at the top. Glue all over me, guys. Hold on, it's not tight enough. Okay, so cut off your tails. Not sure I like that, but okay, anyways. So yeah, you could hang it here with a longer string if you want to. There is no sticky back to this, so you would have to put a little dabs of glue or just let it hang. We are using these so that way your tag will pop out a little bit because the string is a little bulky and it doesn't want it to attach. So, so what I suggest is to figure out where you want them to go and then take your little dots and then just kind of place them in that area. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of stick one there. One there. Give those a second so when you lay that on, now it'll be nice and flat and not wanna not stick. Okay, so that I know looks good, so I'm just gonna plop some glue on my dots. And then change that string. And then just set this where you would like, and then just give it a press on those dots, and then maybe just let it sit there a moment so it has a chance to set. You can always use wood glue. You're not going to see it if it leaks out, which right now seems to be, yeah. The back ones are good. I'm just gonna if you want to, you could even use your hot glue gun if it's still on. Mine's off, so. Okay, let's try this again. Give that a press, and then yes, just let it sit. The wood glue, you could just feel it suck it closer, so I'm just gonna leave it. And now we're done. So I hope you guys like that project. We got a lot of new subscribers with this one, so appreciate that, guys. Welcome. And yes, and so I guess we'll be back to a new year. We'll start out with some new projects, and we hope that you guys will follow along with us again as we change stores and bring you some new stuff. All right, thanks, guys.